founder of Odoo, and today I'm going to explain you how we design great user experiences at Odoo. It seems simple, but it's very hard to do. It requires years of experience. And today my challenge is to explain you the basics so that you can do better module in just 30 minutes. Are you ready? Okay, let's do it. Let's start with the beginning, very simple things. Copywriting. Copywriting is about making your sentence clear and concise. Let's have a look at an example. That's obviously an example of an old version of Odoo, but as you can see, work orders are triggered by manufacturing orders. They are based on the routing defined on these ones. They are operations to be processed at a work center to realize a manufacturing order. It's very complex to understand. It's not good because you have to concentrate yourself in order to have the clear vision of what it is about. So it's key that every sentence, every word we use in the user interface are very simple to understand. Let's have a look at a few tips and tricks. First, a sentence is clear when its important actions are in verbs and the main character is subject. Let's have a look at this sentence for which the main characters are not the subject. The intention of the committee is to improve morale. It's not easy to understand. You have to concentrate yourself in order to get what is there. A better sentence would be, the committee intends to improve morale. And that's a very easy tip. When you put the keyword as a verb and the actions as verb, everything gets much easier. It's another one. It's always good to start sentence with known facts, familiar information, and give the unfamiliar information towards the end of the sentence. So this sentence is quite complex to understand. The weight given to industrialize competitiveness as opposed to the value we attach to liberal arts will determine our decision. You have to concentrate yourself to get to what they mean. A much easier one would be, all decision will be determined by the weight we give to industrial competitiveness as opposed to the value we attach to liberal arts. Even the easiest one is difficult to read. When writing paragraph, the last few words of one sentence should set up the information that appears on the next sentence. That's a very easy trick. So let's have a look at this paragraph with two sentences. Questions have been raised by scientists studying black holes in space. The collapse of a dead star into a point perhaps no larger than a marble creates a black hole. It's complex because you don't have the link between the two sentences. And the link is the black hole. So if we just change the order of the second sentence, we get this. Questions have been raised by scientists studying black holes in space. A black hole is created by the collapse of a dead star. Much easier to understand. And when you have different coordinations parts, like blah 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 and blah 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 and blah 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 and blah 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 and, always order them from the shorter to the longer. It's much easier. A bad example would be, we should analyze connections between the subjective values that reflect our deepest ethical choices and objective research. It's complex to understand because the long coordination is at the beginning. If you reorder that, we should analyze connections between objective research and those subjective values that reflect our deepest ethical choice. It's much easier to understand. Okay, so these were just a few tips and tricks. If you want to get the details of everything we do at Odoo in terms of copywriting, I write a memo that you can find here on the top left corner. Click on the button and you can download my PDF that summarizes all the tips and tricks we use for better copywriting. Let's continue. Now that you can write clear sentences, let's have a look at the onboarding, the first 5 minutes. You have only one chance to make a good impression. Let's do it. That was an old screen of Odoo about the expense. Expense, when you go to the restaurant, you have a good lunch, and then at the end you have a ticket, and you have to register the ticket in the system so that your manager can approve it, and then the accountant can reimburse you. In version 13, the screen, when you enter in the expense app, looks like that. It doesn't help the user understanding the full process. So the first thing you do when you have such a screen is to simplify it, is to remove the unnecessary stuff. Let's remove the import button. Who imports expense nodes? You take a picture and you upload a picture, or you create one manually, but you don't import a CSV with your restaurant lunch. At least not often, so we will put it in another place. It's easier that way. But then we have to explain the user how it will, what's going to be the process. It's not clear in this screen that actually you can take a picture from your mobile phone. So let's change the picture and show a mobile phone with an expense note so that you can snap a picture directly. And we're ready to try the mobile app. And we can help the user further. You don't want him to look for the mobile app, just at the buttons, so that he can download the mobile app directly. And we can go further. What happens next? I mean, when you test a software, when you do a free trial, you don't want to spend minutes trying everything in order to check how it will look like. Let's show the user how it will look like when he will have actual expenses. So in the background, with a transparency filter, we put some sample data so that they see how it will look like, and it's very good, and they can actually have an overview of the application in just a glance. But that's not all. That's about the data, but what about the process? You know, when you record an expense, your manager has to validate it, and the accountant will reimburse you. We want to teach the user about the process because it's the business process that is complex in any software. So let's do that. We add a small dashboard on the top so that he can see that he has $0 to report to his manager, $0 under validation for his manager, and $4,000 that will be reimbursed by the accountant. Very clear. Now I understand the full process for my expense, and I have a clear overview of how the application works in just one screen. But we can go further. You don't want the user to record every expense manually. You don't want him to click on create and then write lunch, $100 or maybe $300. And yes, it's boring to fill all the data. So you want to fill all the data for him. So let's add a new button, upload or snap a picture if you're on a mobile. And then you upload your photo of your expense note and everything gets recorded automatically in just one click. That's how we make users save time. That's how we design great experiences. And this exercise, we have done it for every screen in Odoo. So let's have a look at another one. This is about the reordering rule, minimum stock rule. You know, it's complex. It's rules that says when the inventory goes below a threshold, a minimum inventory level, then you have to reorder up to the maximum level. It's very useful because it automates the replenishment, but it's not clear. When you see the screen, it's not obvious how it works. So let's improve it. And this is the one we have in version 14. We show them a graph that says, we check the forecasted inventory in the future based on the lead time, and if it's below the safety stock, then we reorder in order to get to the maximum stock. And it's very clear. In one picture, you get the full overview of how this screen is working. And below, you have samples of proposition of replenishment that the system will do, so that you understand that the system will do proposition of replenishments for you. Okay, let's continue. So we've seen how you can improve the copywriting, the first 5 minutes of any users. Let's have a look at the small details in every screen. This is a quotation in Odoo, and there is 3 issues in this quotation. So I let you chat, in the chat, answer, what do you think are the 3 issues in these screens? So there is one big one that everyone does. When you watch videos of users recording data, they do it 3 times. They put the data, they change, they put the data, they change, because there is a big usability issue on the screen. And then there is 2 other ones that are smaller. Okay, 5 seconds, 3, 2, write your answer in the chat. Ready? The biggest one is this. It's not obvious if it's 2 or 2000. And when you look at videos of people using Odoo, you see they write 3, and then when they go out of the field Odoo write 3.000, so they think it's 3000, they come back to the quantity, change 3 again, and I've seen users doing it 5 times. Because it's not obvious. In some countries you have the decimal separator is a dot, and in other countries it's a comma, so it's not obvious. So the solution is obvious, we just replaced by 2 0 instead of 3. The next ones, the next usability issue, dollar signs are missing here. It's always better if you have the currency. And another one is, who will send the quotation by email without seeing a preview of what the customer will see? So obviously we need to add a preview so that the user can check how his quotation will look like before sending it by email. So that's very important. We look at every screen and we check usability issues, which are sometimes the way they interact based on their business, and sometimes it's pure usability things like using 2 decimals instead of 3, so that it's clear that it's a decimal and not a thousand separator. All right, let's continue. Once we have all the screen perfected, we want to improve the way they perceive the business. And one good use case is the document management application in Odoo. And the thing is, the document management is it's not just a DMS like you would have with Google Drive, where you store documents. We actually have to teach users how to become a paperless company. We have to teach users the full process. And for that, we use tools in Odoo. So I can show you here. And when you go to the document management, you have some building like this that tells you, click here and here. And we train the user by showing the right path to understand how a good document management should work. So we basically go to a document where they can see the PDF, sort easily, very quickly all the invoices so that they are processed automatically by the artificial intelligence, and sign a document on the fly so that they understand the full process of managing their inbox digitally. That's one example, but we have other examples like the timesheet. We wanted to improve the timesheet application. And every time we need to improve an application, the main question we always ask to ourselves is, how can we help users save time? And because that's the whole point of usability, is to help employees do more in less time. So what is the pain point you think on the timesheet? Write on the chat. What do you think people who have a timesheet will need more than everything else? Is it a dashboard? Is it clear visibility of validation by the manager? What do you think it is? The answer is written right in front of you. They want to save time. Recording timesheet is boring. Nobody wants to do it. You have to do it every day. It takes time. So we designed a system so that they record the timesheet very fast. Instead of recording line by line, it's very painful. Now it's fast and it's even fun. So let's have a look at the timesheet app. Let's say a customer calls in. I can just write the letter B, and the system started to record my timesheet. And then I jump to another project, C, and you see the shortcut on the left, and I'm timesheeting on another project, A. It's very fun. Or you can do enter, start writing, and that's it. Another enter, that's it. It's very fast. So fast that it's actually joyful. It's very funny to use. And then you are at the end of the day. And you know that you worked 4 hours, but the system only recorded 3.30 hours. You probably missed 30 minutes. So you want to fix that, and you will add 15 minutes on a project. So just click on Shift, and now you can add 15 minutes on the project A and on the project B. And that's it. I recorded 4 hours in my system. This is how we work. We check how people use the system, and we ensure that they save time using Odoo. So that was about the timesheet. Okay, let's have a look at a new business need, the CRM. That's the screen of creating a new opportunity in Odoo 13, the old version of Odoo. What do you think is wrong here? Okay, I'll let you a few seconds in the chat. Try to tell me what's wrong. There is not a lot of things in the screen. I cut everything so that you don't have to search for a long time. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. What do you want? What do you write in name when you have a business opportunity? When you have the customer as use tech, which is calling, what do you put in the name? 95% of the user, they just put the name of the customer in the name of the opportunity. So they write as use tech opportunity. And because it's a required field, they have to record it before setting the actual customer. So we ask them to write something that is redundant with the customer field. Another one, what do you need when you record a new opportunity? What's critical when a salesperson is in contact with a customer or a prospect? What's critical to record? His contact data. You want to record his phone and his email. And here in the screen, you don't have that. So once you created the opportunity, you have to click edit and jump there just to set the phone number or the email of the prospect. So let's see the new design in version 14. We put the contact or the person on the top so that when they fill it, we can autocomplete everything automatically. We autocomplete the name of the opportunity based on the name of the customer, the email and the phone, but the salesperson can still change the email or the phone if he wants to. much, much faster than before, because you don't need to record the name manually, you don't have to jump on the opportunity. And this is what I'm saying when I say we have to understand the business, understand all the users in the specific context, use the system so that we can design the perfect screen so that they save time. And it's not a small improvement. All salespeople, they manage 300 opportunities per month. 300 times they have to record 3 fields, click on edit. You save them hours of work just with these simple improvements. Okay, let's continue. And when we think about the business and usability about the business, there are plenty of cases. Let's have a look at another one, inventory management. And more specifically, make to order or replenishment on order, MTO. A lot of companies use MTO. They like it because it's real time. You know, when you do a sale order, it creates a purchase order. It automates replenishment for them, so it's comfortable. And they don't need to create a minimum stock rule that say when you go below 0, you have to reorder. So MTO are very useful. A lot of companies are using them for this reason. But when you think about it, it's a very bad reason to use an MTO. Why? Because they probably don't need MTO. They probably don't, it's probably not what they need. First, when you use that, an MTO, you don't use a security stock. When you sell something, you purchase. If you have 3 products in your inventory, maybe you want to use them rather than purchasing everything. Second, it creates a strong constraint. Your sale order triggers a purchase order, and both are linked together. It's not easy to change priorities after that. It's not flexible. You cannot decide to make or buy. It's always the same path. You cannot select another vendor. It proposes you one. And it's complex to understand. You see the configuration on the product form here. You have to choose between buy, manufacture, or replenish an order. I mean, those are not options that are comparable to each other. They mean different things. So we thought about how we can simplify that and having everything that people need in a make-to-order without the constraints that we have today. And the solution was use minimum stock rules and extended them so that they fit the need of a make-to-order. So we extended the minimum stock rules so that they are real-time, like make-to-orders. They are proposed automatically, and you can change if you decide to manufacture or buy. You don't need to create a minimum stock rule. The system will propose you automatically. And if you click on automate orders on the right, then everything is going to be automated. When you sell something, if you don't have enough inventory, you will purchase automatically. So it will fit most of the things that people are looking in an MTO configuration without all the constraints that comes with an MTO. And this is how we solve business needs. We always think ourselves, how can we do better? And in this case, having 2 systems to replenish that were half good was not as good as one perfect system. So we focus on one perfect system, the replenishment report that is based on order points, reordering rules, so that they get everything they need from the screens. Okay, let's continue. And this exercise, checking the copywriting, having a look at the first 5 minutes to be sure that the process is perfect, thinking about the business, how do they use the application, what do we want to perform, how can we make users save time. This exercise, we have done it for all the applications. So all the applications of Odoo, as of Odoo 14, have been completely reviewed with great user experience. And it's funny because we have only one new application in Odoo 14. If you remember Odoo 13, we released 13 new applications. Now we have only one. But I believe that Odoo 14 will have a much bigger impact than Odoo 13 because of that. Because all these applications are perfect and your employee will be happy because they will do more. It's going to be easier, much easier than before, and they will do it in less time. Thank you. And if you have questions, feel free to ask your question in the chat. I'm still here and I'm ready to answer all your questions.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this Q&A session with Fabien.
Hello, Amy.
We're going to go ahead and dive into some questions, and if you didn't get the chance to ask your question, you can still do it. Just ask away on the chat and we will get to it. So let's start off with kind of a big question here. Out of all the things that were improved for version 14, what was the most challenging?
Yeah, there is not one big task because in order to have the level of quality we expect and that we wanted to do for Odoo 14, we had to improve 1,000 of little bit details. Those were little details, but they add up to something that is, at the end is very, very good. But there are things I personally like the new list views and the empty list and things like that. And there are also the things behind the scenes, like speed. It's fast, that's something you don't notice, but when it's faster, you save time for the users.
Absolutely. So are user experience features mainly coded in the front end, or is it a backend kind of thing?
Usually user experience is in the front end, but as I said, things like speed is most of the time in the backend. And I see a good question from Arnold here. Why is there no new application this year? And he's right. So last year, for version 13, we released 13 new different applications. This year, we only have one new application. So why did we do that? We did that because we focused on usability. We focused on improving our existing app rather than delivering new applications. And I think it's good. I think it's better to have a better MRP, accounting, inventory, all the core features rather than trying to bring more and more and more applications.
So when do you decide that balance? When do you say, okay, this year we go for some new apps that don't exist, or this year we focus on user experience? Where do you decide that?
Pretty much all the time we focus on user experience.
Right.
And even when you see new apps, usually it's like the 20% of our effort. 80% is refactoring everything, making everything better, faster. One of the things we do a lot is to sit next to the user and see where they waste time. And so we sit next to an accountant, we check how they use the software, we sit next to a worker, we see how they pick items in the warehouse, and we analyze where we can save them time. And that's something we do a lot, and in pretty much every version. So when I said that there were 13 new applications in version 13, it doesn't change the fact that probably 50% of our effort in research and development was on the usability.
And I guess when you sit down with these customers to see what they're going through, you also choose people from different sectors as well to know exactly from different backgrounds.
Yes. So it's more different positions, like a sales manager or an accountant. We don't work too much by industries. So we try to have generic features like CRM or accounting, and we sit to specific roles. And we always have this persona. So for every application, we know who is the target user, what are their habits, how they use the system. And because of that, one thing we do a lot is to analyze where do they waste time? Where can we save them time and money?
Okay, and is one of your tricks to maybe get ideas from other software as well for user experience? That is.
Yeah, we do. With part of the complexity of user experience is that there are a lot of subjective things. It's not exact science. So you need to constantly have feedback. So we do have feedback from the community a lot. That's very useful. From our consultant, from our salespeople. We have internal channels, so to be sure that we improve continuously. But as part of our feedback, we analyze every competitor. So we analyze every software in the accounting area, in the CRM area, every website builder. And we spend a lot of time doing that. And when we do user testing, when we ask people, try to click and create a sale order and then a delivery order, even people who don't know Odoo, we do that on Odoo, and we also do that on the competitors, so that we can analyze where we do better, where we do not as good as the other ones. I have to say we come to a point where it's very rare that we find interesting things in competitors' products, but we still find interesting things every week or
every blue moon. So you're getting a lot of questions here about other applications. I don't know if you want to focus on those or wait for them.
Up to you. I see that there is a question here. Did we remove any application from community in version 14? No, and I think we never removed since the accounting that was not actually removed. We made the new feature in the enterprise version since here, and it's our strategy to say what's in community stays in community, what's in enterprise stays in enterprise. Like the website builder, which is one of the massive improvements of version 14, because it's a community app, everything we did on the website builder, including the themes, are open sourced.
Stays in community.
And it stays in community.
We have a question. Do we have any mechanism to export the records and save in spreadsheets?
Yeah, there is an export tool. When you go on the list view of Odoo, you can select multiple records and export. And when you export, you have you can export to export the data, like doing some analysis. And you can also export to re-import after, like update, batch updates of records. So there is a checkbox when you export to decide if it's just to get the data so you can access more fields, or if it's an export that you want to re-import after, and then you only have the fields on which you can write.
And that's actually great for user experience because people can build their own templates as well, so it can make it easier for the future. So how does Odoo decide which extra integrations to release?
So first, we don't like integrations. So most of the time we think that it's more efficient. It's more efficient when the features are integrated in the same software rather than integrating different software. And that's the reason why Odoo is so easier to use, deploy compared to the other ERP, is because everything is native. With the other ERPs, you don't have a point of sale or an e-commerce or business intelligence. You have to deploy different software, and their cost is probably 5 times higher than Odoo, because at Odoo we have everything in the single software. So we try to integrate everything in Odoo, like the spreadsheet you have seen. Before we had the connector with Google Spreadsheet. Now we have the Odoo spreadsheet, and that gives so much possibilities. Now you can do a lot of things that was not possible before. So we do prefer that because it's much easier for the users. Obviously, there are things on which we need to integrate, like a shipper. We not replace UPS or payment gateways.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But if we can make it in Odoo rather than interfacing with the software, we do prefer, because it's better for the user.
Okay. Cool. So we have some questions, again, directed toward community. So for the community edition, someone is wondering why not have a good menu structure? So I know that there is a big difference between community and
so the menu structure is the same. The menu structure between community and enterprise is the same. And basically, Odoo Enterprise is a product that relies on the community. So every time we need to improve enterprise, we improve community. So by design, we ensure that Odoo community will evolve with Odoo Enterprise. It's not two different products. It's one product and a set of extra features on top. So the menu is the same. The only difference is I would say the root menus. So the main apps, where in the community it's in the list view, in the enterprise it's in the home. Why do we have that? It's because we decided a split between community and enterprise, and we keep the split. It's just like that. There are a lot of features in enterprise that people would like to have in community. And I understand. I mean, it's better when everything is free. But the reason we did it in enterprise is because we get the revenues from these features, from accounting or from the different look and feel of the enterprise. All this revenue that we generate, 80% goes in community. So community improves much faster because we sell these features. So all in all, I believe the community benefit from the fact that we have enterprise feature, even if it would be on the paper, it seems better to get them. But if we would have put everything free, we wouldn't have a product that is as mature as it is today. Right,
absolutely. So we have another question from Arnold. Why do we not focus more on e-learning during a time where schools are mostly operating from home?
So we did. So the event platform that you are using today, with all these events and the chats and the community rooms, it's actually the e-learning of Odoo that has been improved. So it's the event application of Odoo that has been improved, but we also did the e-learning. You are actually the biggest contributor of the e-learning platform. If you go to the e-learning, she's doing most of the videos. And we continue to record video all the time. So yeah.
Okay, let's see. Someone else asked us why we're pure business minded, but I think you answered that by saying 80% goes back into community.
Yeah.
We have some questions about Spreadsheet as well. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Let's go.
Yeah, okay. So is it possible to perform the import using Odoo Spreadsheet? Is one question.
Yeah, the import and export. So for now, the spreadsheet, we market it as a report builder or business intelligence, because it's not on par completely with Google Spreadsheet and others. So we do have the export and import feature is coming. But it's just a matter of one version. It's because it's the first version we released. Next year, there will be a complete spreadsheet on par with the other, even probably better. because more modern, we noticed that the code of the others were pretty slow, and but it's just a matter of maturity. Sometimes you need 2 years for. So for now, it's very good, but it's not a complete replacement of Google Spreadsheet or others.
Here we have, what is your core development language?
So Odoo is built in Python for the backend and relies on PostgreSQL for the database. And for the front end, of course, it's JavaScript. It's a single page client, so that's why it's very fast. There is no page to load. You load the client and everything after, it's just RPC to get the data, but not the business logic, not the layouting of the page. Everything is loaded the first time you go on the page. So that's why it's very fast. It's part of the usability, actually, to be extremely responsive. Maybe I should show you something on my screen.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why when you pick a record like this one, you can do next like this, and it's super fast. You see, there is no reload of page. It's as fast as I can click. It's because it's a single page JavaScript client and it's optimized to be very fast. And we actually work a lot on this kind of things. It's not noticeable because we are talking about 200, 300 milliseconds. But it's part of a big part of the R&D work on making all the things faster. Right. Because when you have a salesperson that have to write 1 second every time they click, at the end of the day, they are losing maybe 15 minutes per day. You can do that to your employees.
Right. We have another question about usability as well. Odoo is used by a lot of people from different backgrounds and cultures. So how do you handle the usability improvements to cater to everyone?
Yeah. So we have one weakness at Odoo, which is also one of the biggest strengths. Our weakness is that we are Belgian. So we are not native English speakers. So as you can see in these events, it's not as good as a pure native English speakers. But one of the advantages of being Belgian is that for 10 million of people, we have 3 official languages. So by nature, we are a multiple language, multiple culture. So it's one of the first things we did in Odoo is to support multiple languages, multiple tags, because we need it. We are used to do that. Belgium is the capital of Europe. So even though it's a very small country, and also working with the communities help a lot. So maybe we should pick 1 or 2 last questions.
Yes. So one last question we have. When will it be possible to have real-time responsiveness in Odoo?
Not sure what you mean by real-time responsiveness, but we are very close to. It's as fast as I can click on most of the sessions. We always do better. So our challenge is to go from 100 milliseconds to 50, and then to 50 to 30. 0 milliseconds never exists, but.
Okay, now I'll ask you one more. That's just a fun one here. Yeah. What is the feature you like the most about V14, or maybe usability improvement?
The main one, it's a usability improvement. It's in the MRP. Everything is much better in MRP. Every single detail, like you can edit an order, a manufacturing order, between when it started and after the starting if you did a mistake, or recording the serial numbers of manufacturing order much easier. Having back order on the manufacturing order, very easy. And that's a lot of small details, but it just worked well.
Well, thank you so much. That's all the time we have tonight, but be sure you stick around for a few minutes because Antoine, a cartoonist, is going to do a recap of the day. So be sure you check it out.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Fabien.